Okay, so here's two other books that I think you will like very much because someone asked about tricky things.
Yeah.
So these are wonderful books. It's Encyclopedia, and as you can see, it's a leather binding with a cat's paw decoration. I think it was made with ferrous sulfate, and this is the original binding of this encyclopedia.
Yes.
And it has the most amazing plates and decoration. So it's a fantastic.
It's metalworks or something. What? It's different stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful book. So this is one of the, I think there are 30 volumes of the Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Not all of them have plates, but this one has the plates. So this is the original binding of this particular volume.
Yeah.
And the owner acquired another one which didn't have any binding.
Yeah.
So he asked me to sort of reproduce, and this is what I did. The thing is that the cat's paw, I did not use ferrous sulfate.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look, well, now I'm not quite satisfied because a conservator is never fully satisfied by definition. But yeah, I mean, this is the reproduction, so I I tainted the edges because I trimmed a bit this original book, which was a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And a veure, I don't know if you can see the end band.
Yeah.
And so this is the original one, the original end band was not fantastic either, so we reproduced the end band in a similar way. So this is sort of a forgery.
Yeah.
Because it somehow pretends to do what it's not. No? So.
Well, I'd say it's an imitation because.
It's an imitation, of course. But depending on who you ask, I mean, for me it's clear that this is new.
Yeah.
For you, it's clear as well.
Yeah.
No? But I also got other issues from the same owner, which has an original binding that was completely different to this one. It was a limp vellum binding, and he wanted me to remove the original binding and change it and do something like this.
Yeah.
And I said no, because the original limp vellum binding that you have it's really worth. I mean, you don't want to remove it. It will be much less valuable.
Yeah.
He insisted and insisted and insisted on me replacing the old binding, the original one, a new one. So after struggling a lot, it was a real effort to convince the owner. I came across a solution, because in that case, I also had to trim the edges, which had a sort of a marbling.
Yeah.
The edges were painted, and I said, no, you don't want me to trim these edges. And he said, yes, I want you to do that. And I said, no. Yeah. So at the very end, I could convince him, and he agreed for me to do a sort of a jacket for the bindings. So the new jacket had the spine similar to the others. So once on the shelf, you could think that all the books were the same.
It masks it. Yeah.
That was his main concern, that the shelf looked nice.
Well, yeah, there are people for whom how the shelf looks is the most important thing about the books.
But it was a shame because the original binding was amazing. I mean, I really liked that binding, but at the end I succeeded in convincing him not to do it because I would have felt horrible.
Yeah. I guess I will read this question. You sort of answered already, because just to mention the person who asked it, and it was Janet Mente, and she asked, do private clients ever ask you to restore a rare book in a way that is against modern philosophy of restoration, that is recreating a book as to pure restoration? I hope that is a clear question. So yeah, you sort of already answered this question, because yeah, they do.
It happens. But I think there is always a way to convince the owner not to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I told him, look, the edges are beautiful, the end bands are beautiful, the binding is the original. I mean, at the end, I think I convinced him, telling him that it would be much less valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, if you sell this with a new binding,
yeah,
it will cost not even half the price.
Yeah.
And he said, okay.
Yeah, for some this reasoning works, but not for everybody. And
it's difficult.
I know.
Sometimes it's difficult.
I know some professionals who wouldn't agree to work on the projects like this, and if the client insists, they just tell, okay, I wouldn't do this work at all, and sometimes these clients find bookbinders or book professionals who are ready to make these changes, and yeah, I'd say that's a bit unfortunate, because we're losing part of history with it, and it goes against many principles of many institutions and that are working in the field of conservation and restoration. So yeah, but yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if, for instance, these books that I removed the labels because you see this book,
yeah,
it had the labels, but well, I thought the gilding was worth not to have the labels.
Yeah.
So here, I always give back whatever I am not using to the owners. No, so that's a sort of palliative you can do in these situations in which it's not clear what is better.
Yeah.
But,
and then that's their decision what to do with it.
Yeah, but the problem is that I know this belongs to a library. They are very serious. It's a historical library, and they will keep that.
Yeah.
But if I do this with some private owner, they will just throw it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so here's another book, and this one is done, but I will show you the image of the previous stage.
Yeah.
It was horribly damaged with woodworm all over and losses on the parchment.
Yeah, so it's parchment cover, yeah?
Yeah, this is a limb vellum binding.
Yeah.
It's from 1353, 55, so it's from the 14th century. And I really like this binding because it has a rolled sewing on two different stays with leather tackets.
Yeah.
And this rolled sewing, well, it's not that common, so I really liked it. We had to redo it again, so I will just.
And what are the? Okay, the stitches on the side of the cover are
see, this is
keeping the folds in place.
These are tackets. These are parchment tackets to hold together
the fold. Yeah.
The turnings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are also inner parchment tackets. These are new.
Yeah.
And that's the book after infilling with all the losses. And, well, if you have a leaf casting machine for this type of projects, it's fantastic.
I can imagine.
Because you see the losses.
Yeah, lots of losses.
And many losses. So we kept the same structure the book had, and here are the inner parchment tackets.
Yeah.
And
they are also new?
Yeah, these are new because the originals had too much woodworm damage to keep on doing their function.
Yeah.
They were all broken. So we have just replaced them, and we are giving back the original parts of the sewing in a conservation box so that it can be studied.
Yeah.
But this reproduces exactly what it had. Well, exactly, but without damage. And this is the last page, and all this part is new.
Oh, okay.
So this is not parchment. This is paper that I just toned with pastels and glue, and we also reproduced the tackets for the turnings. So that's how it looks from. So I mean, it's not exact, but it looks good. And well, the good thing, I think the most important in these dramatic cases is that now you can handle the book.
Yeah, exactly. You can work with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an issue to work on the book.
That's something that we discussed with Eliane last week. That's one of the most important, or maybe two of the most important aspects of restoration and conservation are to protect it for the future and to make it accessible for use, because often the books are falling apart and you just can't use them at all without damaging the book even more.
Exactly. Yeah, I think other types of artifacts, such as paintings, they don't involve this handling needs.
Yeah.
You can, the approach regarding criteria can be much different, but a book, you need to be able to flip the pages at least.
Yeah.
So there are some concessions you need to do in order to allow this flipping of the pages.
yeah, exactly. Absolutely.